it means that you just dump everything when you start on token launch and nobody's incentivized to keep a project going. So I think lots of things change in the structure of crypto that we've kind of got this kind of Frankenstein monster system that we've built to get round regulation. The other one that I think is something on my radar screen is capital formation and ICOs. Because, we've now got, obviously the public a bit fed up about VCs getting early, blah, 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 and they make all the money. Sure, they're taking the risk capital, but ICOs would allow a more level playing field again, which got shut down. So that's kind of interesting to me as well. Can we free up capital formation in markets further? That could be something very big indeed. So if you have that big Bitcoin level stuff you're talking about, but then some more sensible regulation on what a token is and what you can use it for, then you've got a bigger foundation for something much, much larger.
Yeah, I'm actually more bullish.
I wrote a thread on this yesterday. Is ETH is where institutions will build, whether it's on layer 1s or layer 2s, but that's where DeFi is. That's where institutions are not going to get fired for. It's the kind of Microsoft of the space. So I do think as regulation frees up, ETH is going to get a lot more activity than people yet understand. So I think it's a good thing. And they've built it for scale. But the layer 2s, if there's not much activity going on, then the price doesn't do well. But if you can start bringing the financial institutions onto this space, ETH is the most likely candidate for it at scale.
Yeah, we had already started to see that. I think they were...
Because it's got a yield as well. It's just everything is there for it.
We had started to see that, right? I think we started to see, Franklin Templeton tokenized a fund last week, so did UBS. So far, they've only really been allowed to tokenize US Treasury funds, which kind of makes sense. They only allow you to tokenize when you buy their debt. But it does feel as though when crypto policy comes in, that could expand. I like looking at the Coinbase versus ETH chart, because I do think a lot of that tokenization will be captured by Coinbase. And I still think the way that ETH has been built means you need massive scale to start getting a burn. Whereas I think Coinbase can capture a lot of that revenue, and particularly in the US.
To look at these same periods in the election years and all of this stuff. And basically, the market goes bananas all the way until March. And then somewhere March, April, there's tax season. And everyone's going to have to pay Uncle Sam and Her Majesty or His Majesty. And they have to start selling a bunch of stuff. That seems to happen every time where you get a pullback. And then it's going to depend on global liquidity. If it's still strong, then we end up with a strong pump into the end of the year. If not, we kind of get something more like last time. But yeah, I just think it's banana zone all the way through till March.
Okay, until March. My view was that we have, again, like an 8-week period here where we've been saying on the show, get really long in September when Bitcoin was like 55K. We're like, this is time to get long. I think we rally up until the Trump inauguration. That's when people go like, absolutely right. What are the assets to own until him coming into power? And then I think I don't know if crypto is going to be the first thing he kind of looks at. We probably have a little bit of a chop. I think maybe around the end of Q1, we'll start to get the FTX repayments as though. So maybe like end of Q1, we start to like have another brief rally, I think. But it's difficult. It is difficult to work out. You don't want to be overly predictive, but what I do think is we definitely got a very, very strong rally until year end. I don't see a world where we don't have a very, very strong rally until year end. I think Q1, you have some Solana.
I don't know if you see Jamie's work. It's unbelievable.
He's going to be coming on the show fairly regularly, I think, now.
He's so good. And we're going to have real-time dashboards of all of this stuff because he's kind of gone the next yardstick and use all of the different measures of network growth, network activity, network fees, put it all together in a single indicator to give you the ability to sort it all. It's actually pretty smart.
This is what I mean. This is the sort of stuff that people largely found difficult to look at for this cycle, right? So far, you could have been a normal stock market analyst. You could have been coming into crypto and being like, I know the tools to evaluate, and you've been like, right, well, I've been wrong here because meme coins have been the main thing. If there's a time to look at data again, it's now. Because I think in a month or two, everyone's going to be looking at it again and being like, right, suddenly these coins can return to being a bit more stock-like.
Yeah, so we're building out a whole suite of tools. It's going to be both real time, but he also publishes reports. I mean, here's the one on network adoption projections. He does more work than anybody else I know on this stuff. It's super interesting. And I think, as you say, it's going to become more important now because we can get rid of the Frankenstein monsters of tokens and get into something that actually values cash flow.
Yeah, there's a bit for everyone. I think there'll be interesting new stuff. I've said this ever since I kind of saw this goat coin, which I know you've been following a little bit as well, is that I think as well, crypto has now going to become
straightforward and it'll hyperscale. You know, Solana could probably handle half of that stuff already.
Yeah, I think me and Ovi used to trade an OTC market. I know you were involved in those, but like they only really existed even towards the end of our careers. Like you started to see the more liquid bits of that being replaced by algos and bots. But now with, if you can just tell I don't even know how the interface is going to look. And I think maybe I'll pick your brain on that a little bit. But let's say you just have an LLM where you can just be like, hey, trade this market for me. We only want to take this much risk. Pay attention to these factors at all times. Pay attention to these macro factors. Build an algo yourself out of the model. We want an average return of this. All of these banks are just going to replace all the traders. It's now gotten to the extent that we don't need that for even OTC.
Yeah, but then I'm more thinking of the actual contract itself. So, let's say it's a call option on Turkish government bonds, or that's just an NFT, right? It's straightforward. It can settle. You put that in code. The real issue is, it was the question that people asked me is, well, surely somebody who gets AGI just wins markets, right? And they're worth $10 trillion and we have to shut down markets. Now, okay, that's the exaggerated answer, but the reality is they're true, is by the time we hyperscale AI agents and something closer to, it's all going to happen without us even realizing.
Well, I like the you guys are aware of the Internet of Things. I think that's going to be the main underlying thing for everything. So you have everything will be connected to like the internet, basically, probably using Spectrum, and it's all going to be like have this Chat GPT or whatever AI thing overlay. So you're no longer going to be like how the fuck do I abuse this oven? It's just going to be like you're just going to be like, okay, like heat my thing up for to 300 degrees for 30 minutes and set a timer. Like
it won't even do that. You will put the chicken in. It'll go, hey, I see you cooking chicken. How do you want it roasted?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And things that we can do with AI, right? We've really how would you cook a chicken?
Life-changing thing to do. Automatically cook a chicken.
Three blokes who don't know how to cook. Just break down the barrier.
I am a chef. When you guys come here, I will cook for you.
All right. Well, that is one thing that we should shout out. There is going to be, and I think Raoul spoke about it before, we are doing a Real Vision event. I think we're going to play a 1.5-minute trailer, is it? Of the.
Yeah, I just want to give a prequel to this because, we all kind of live in this weird digital online world where, Ovi, I can't remember the last time I saw you in person. Mando, I saw you in Mallorca recently. We don't get together enough. And there's a lot of events in crypto, and a lot of them are just fucking going to watch somebody on stage. I'm like, I don't do this stuff, but it was really interesting for a number of reasons. And I won't name the token because it's a token of shame, because I bought it. It literally immediately fell 65%. And I then reflected back on this and realized I've taken 2 tips this year that I shouldn't have done. Both fell, well, one fell 99%. I luckily managed to get out. That was guac. And the other one was this one, which is down 65% in a day when I bought it. So I just try and avoid listening to other people because I fuck it up every time I do that.
I do think, and I was saying this a few hours ago, that you're going to have so much temptation to get rid of your Sol, get rid of your Bitcoin, degen. You're going to see coins
why I've
move
got
up.
The "Don't fuck this up" t-shirt.
This is also a "Don't fuck this up" period. Like Sol could go to 250 this weekend. Like I think you're going to see crazy candles, and people are going. You do not want to just don't fuck this up. Yeah, just if you're going to degen, do it with some. I
know, and I see people do it. I see friends of mine do it already. They're in the pumped up bum trenches looking for the 500k. I'm like, please don't do this. You will literally not make it. You just won't.
Or do it on a
they
very small
can't help
amount.
themselves.
Do it on a very small percent. Now's not really the time to DCA. Is it the time to add risk? If you have a short-term view, then yeah, I think so, or even a long-term view. But DCAing here doesn't really make sense because just increasing your actually your dollar cost averaging higher when you want to be dollar cost averaging lower. So I'd rather, as you said, like wait for dips to add, I think.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. Like putting it in now maybe is the only chance. I do think that, and I always think this about crypto. You normally get at any price point, you normally get multiple times to buy it. Like how many times how many times did you get the chance to buy Bitcoin at 65K? Like hundreds of times. You're probably going to get multiple times to buy Bitcoin at 75K. Just the natural volatility of the asset means it goes up, down, up, down. Even if it's going up, you'll get multiple days where it goes up and down. So just have that in your mind. Like if you are going to put it all in now, know that it will probably be lower than this 3 times at least, right? You just have the discipline on those down days to buy it. So either buy it now and accept this volatility, or buy it on the down days if you're not fully invested.
All right, next question. For trophy assets like NFTs, namely artists like Beeple, is it better to wait to buy during the next crypto winter